Hello, and welcome to the 37th Constellation. Let's hear it. How many of you are here at Constellation for the first time? A few of you. Thank you. Welcome. Hope you come back. I'll say more about that later. Coming back is one of the principles of Constellation. It's like cyclical with the stars, etc., etc. But anyway, it's a whole thing.
Or just a trap.
Or just a trap. We're here to draw you in. I'm Jessica Johnson. This is Junae Hayworth-Kafka. Armand Tolentino is back there, and Eli Hayworth-Kafka is around here somewhere. And we are the Constellation crew. Tonight, our readers are two current McCormick Writing Center residents, Afabwaje Kurian and Calley Marotta. Yes, let's hear it for them. And this residency we are so honored to be part of. And also local legend, John Beard. Yes! We usually open these events with a broad acknowledgement of the larger world and our interconnection. This is a time of struggle and violence against many peoples. There is still a genocide in Palestine. We stand with the victims of genocide in Sudan and Congo, and with the indigenous peoples of this place, the Multnomah, Kathlamic, Clackamas, Tumwater, and Watlala Cascade bands of the Chinook, as well as the Tuolumne and Kalapuya, and many other recognized and unrecognized indigenous nations of the Columbia River. Tonight, we would love to invite you to join us. And if you haven't had a chance, everybody's strapped. This is a difficult time. But if you are moved to contribute materially to the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs Wildfire Recovery Fund, we have QR codes here. And I personally will donate $10 for every book bought tonight by anyone to this fund. So we're turning it into a fundraiser. I think fire is awful. It can also remind us of our connection to each other, hopefully. We stand against anti-Blackness and recognize that police violence and white supremacist violence must be named and opposed. We stand with immigrants against whom the state is carrying out acts of violence, imprisonment, and erasure, and these forms of violence, along with transphobic violence being legislated across the United States, endanger the lives of trans, queer, gender nonconforming, and non-binary people. As we begin the event, we want to affirm again that none of us are free until all of us are free, and that anti-racist, liberationist, and anti-colonial struggles are intertwined. And we name these things in order to reach out to each other and make good use of this time. I'm going to say a little more about that in a second. We also thank you for honoring our mask policy, which involves wearing them down here. They are optional upstairs. And we have some at the entry. And thank you for taking care of each other and looking out for each other generally in this space. Thank you to Lance Cleland and the McCormick Writing Center for the use of this space and for this collaboration. Lance is here. Actually applaud Lance in person. And thank you to Melissa Amstutz of Bishop and Wild, whose amazing curation surrounds you. Yes. And thank you to the Regional Arts and Culture Council, who has given us a grant for these readings this year. So lots to be thankful for at this moment. Before we start, I don't always do this, but I want to just tell a personal story if I can. I have a family connection to this tiny island in Canada that is full of artists, primarily visual artists and ceramicists and sculptors. And I was just there recently for this long period of time. And they had, you know, my connection to it is through my grandmother and now through my parents. And some of the older generations are passing on. But I was there for this artist talk. It was someone who, you know, shows internationally and works in Vancouver but has a connection to that place, and was talking about how that place functions in her work. And as people were in the room and greeting each other, like they'd known each other for a long time, and talking about big issues in relation to like the right here and right now, I was like, oh, they're having Constellation. Like this is the genesis of this thing that we wanted to create. And that has taken shape in iterations for the last, 3+ years. So I want to thank everyone who's here and everyone who's joining us through the live stream for being part of this. It means so much to me. It was like this bizarre full circle moment in my life. And I really just wanted to share it with all of you. Okay. I am so pleased to bring to the stage John Beer. John Beer is the author of Lucinda from Canarium, it's right over there, and The Wasteland and Other Poems, also from Canarium, also right over there, which received the Norma Farber First Book Award from the Poetry Society of America. He also edited Poems 1963 to 1997 by Robert Lax from Wave. He teaches creative writing at Portland State University. And if you're around the poetry world of Portland at all, you will have seen John many times supporting other people, and is someone who has taught so many people in the city. And I'm so excited that we get to hear him read his own work tonight. Please welcome John Beer.
Well, thank you so much, Jessica. How's that?
We may need to adjust a tiny bit, but keep talking.
Okay, yeah, and I also have to apologize. I don't know if it's the smoke or what, but my voice is a little hazy this evening.
Okay, sorry.
No worries. It's and I just have to echo that it's such a delight and pleasure for me to be reading here at Constellation. And I think what Junae and Jessica and Armin and Eli are doing is just such a model for how to make genuine literary community, and it's one, and and thanks to Lance and to Tin House for making space for this too, and thank you all for being here. It's also really a pleasure to read tonight with Afabwaje and with Gary, yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do is just read an excerpt from this this manuscript of mine, and maybe I'll say a little bit about the larger context, like that would help. I mean, this is a book-length poem. It's called Darklands, and there's a lot going on, but I think maybe one way to think about it is that, at least in the section that I'm reading from tonight, there's part of a sequence in which this quartet, sort of shifting, fluid quartet of young people are finding themselves venturing deeper and deeper into the North American wilderness. Like a 70s horror movie, basically. And while this is going on, there are voices sort of surrounding them, so you'll hear a lot of these voices. And some of it I think gets a little scary, but this one I think maybe this section not so much. Then you can be the judge of that. Yeah, okay. So from Darklands. Done in the tinny modern manner, right? It's down to Kath, her men on the book throne, eating evil letters, setting lisp to all the gothy fragonards. It's a fragile scene. I was 7, or was I 17? Okay, I saw Pleroma, a lightweight Fediverse server, fill the sky above Los Angeles. Is he really ever eager, our hero, to expostulate loser, Beck's big single, curiously drifting on the bigger megaphone? Extract from the law books, annexing regal cypherplex to lucid center. Jaguar zooms past a frigid tack. Nobody educates their world-devouring appetites in this hypothetical district. Tundra thunders along, but awfully melty. Unlike the lower 48, it's underfrozen. No idea outpaces the biblical dilemma, whether framed through visual digressions, Polly heckling the hidden ice axe, or more disappearing into extended discovery claims. You lied, you throwed the scroll, you in the heat, out of my sight, you miniature event, you clap patrol. Be still again. Casey of the presidential stigma votes to lay my clay, though any key shall know the lion everyone's. Oh, here's my friend Iota. Now she's rippling like a rhizome. Now she's opening her advent calendar, a gift from me and a couple other well-wishers. How'd you know I wanted this? She whispers, just as the rest of us start shouting, don't open that quite yet. It's not December. You have to count to 7 backwards. 7. Flip, flip, flop, it does not count. Still have a friend I can count on who absolutely cannot count. It counts. It will not count. And you can count on that. 6. I count the distant galaxies. Flop, flip, flop, it does not count. Make it count. At last count, latest count. Count them. Count myself. Count on me, too high to count. On hand to count the votes. 5. Easy to lose count. Count of Monte Cristo. Count on Kenny. Flip, flop, flop, doesn't count. Can't count on them, leave us alone. Music you've downloaded doesn't count. Why can't they leave us alone, the glitterati? Count me out. 4. I count the crowns of the gargoyle king. Left alone to live as we please. Flop, flip, flop, this does not count. You are never left alone. 3. Can't count. It wouldn't count. Could count for nothing. Count on one hand, double body count. Some things are better left alone. I count the cracks, left alone with Snitty. Flip, 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 it counts. It doesn't count. Office of the Gargoyle King. Liza, sad little fools. Merveille, what do you mean by that? Liza, oh, Merveille. Didn't realize you were back. Merveille, I've been here almost 20 minutes now. Champ, don't squabble, folks. You won't advance the plot. The most important thing to figure out is what this place is for. I get a sense, in part from all these fading ruddy stains, that something sinister has been afoot. Zaz, well, clearly no one's been here in a while. The sign outside is practically bereft of letters. There's just a capital G, and then R, G, a logo like a crown. I'd say it was a fast food restaurant, but you'd expect a counter and a fridge, facilities to safely handle meat. Merveille, my own advice is let's get out of here. The old guy said we'd find the parts we need, but this is feeling very much like a trap. Liza, sad little fools. Merveille, again with that? Look out, it seems like Liza's gone into a trance. Champ, check out this backpack, chums. 3 decades dust and spidery webs conceal it from the eye of the casual viewer. But I'm a JanSport fiend. I've got a dozen of these things off Etsy. My guess is that it hasn't been disturbed since some lone traveler abandoned it back in the days of Alf and Home Improvement. Come on, let's see what clues it's sheltering. Liza, it's not the right month yet. You have to count. 5. Get away from the marks. Get away from regarding. Get away with it. Get away from the computer. Get away from thinking we are left alone. young children left alone. You can't get away. 4, make your voice count. Alone in the vaults, how to get away with murder. My rough count. 3, flop, flip, flop, it does not count. Get away to Oahu. Passion counts for something when they were left alone. 2, flip, flop, flip, flip, flop. 1, office of the Gargoyle King. Thelma, they make it pretty easy with that sign. Danny, computers, ergonomic chairs, bright lights. That note we found describes this place exactly. Ed, be careful, everyone. It also said the Gargoyle King defends its territory. Let's split up. Danny, Thelma, come with me. Casey, you and Schmoops can stay behind. Thelma, I'll leave my backpack here with you, all right? Casey, sure. Watch my backpack. Stay. Wait here for us. We'll check out the strange howls, you do the dishes, and Schmoops can keep you company. I'm not complaining, Schmoops. I know that we're a team, conjoined by predilections they don't share, and not the less a zest for psychic travel, exploring hidden pathways of the mind. I like us as a team. Still, don't you find the condescending tone, the satisfied assurance that can parcel out our places, when after all the savvy-moneyed stake a wager that the peril lies in store primarily for us? You heard that noise? Or is that just a ploy for Kanga treats? All right, you've earned them. And apparently it's not largesse, but mutual exchange. A scrap of parchment tucked inside your pouch. He's reading it. The Gargoyle King's a myth to frighten children. The goblin you should fear awaits within. See, that's exactly what I mean, old Schmoops. Ed and his tawdry minions slip away and leave us here to do the heavy lifting, the dirty work. Sad little fools. They'll learn. But why do you set your eye on me that way? Come closer, Schmoopy Roo, and I'll explain the secret gears that power this bad world.
Oh, thank you.
Creepy. Funny. Interesting, and I want to know more. That was really a fun journey in poetic form to go on this like mystery horror journey. That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I met John before, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, 8 years ago now.
Probably 8 years now.
Yeah, John was lending his reputation and experience and wisdom to a group called the White Noise Project, which was a Black and Brown reading series here in Portland. And yeah, I think it's so cool to have to host you here. Can I tell a little story?
Always.
I just want to say it's so nice to be back here with you all. Faces that are very familiar, new faces. A friend from out of town that I didn't expect to be here, so that's really fun. Life is really crazy for me right now. There's a lot of death happening in my world, which makes all the like beautiful things stand out so much brighter. And so I just feel so much gratitude standing here. And Calley asked earlier, how did this reading series start? And so I just want to acknowledge just a little bit of our origin story. I know some of you have heard it before. Jessica and I used to teach at PCC many years ago, and she was one of my favorite people there because she was so chill and so effective and so funny.
I still teach there, by the way.
Oh yeah. ice skates. We taught at different campuses for a while, and then we actually job shared for a year before I left. Sorry, I left you. But after I resigned, because I just loved her, we would get together for coffee once in a while just to catch up. And we had coffee once, and I was like, tell me about, like, what do you want to do with your life now outside of PCC? Like, what are your ambitions? What are your goals? What's something like that's on your mind? And she was like, I've kind of been thinking about starting a reading series. And so I asked her a little bit more about it, and she was so excited. And then I was like, wait, do you like really want to do this? And she was like, yeah, I think I really do. Do you want some help? And so then we started it, and the journey that we've been on together, from finding this place with Lance, we posted something on Instagram and we were like, Constellation, this was going to be called Wayne. There's a whole other story that
And it still would have been great.
It would have been great. I loved that because I thought it was funny and weird. But we were like announcing Constellation, you stay tuned. And then Lance saw our post on Instagram and was like, do you guys need a space? And so he invited us into this space, and that was before the bookstore was here. And then they invited the bookstore in, and we were like, what's going to happen with the bookstore? And then, like, the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And we are absolutely just in love with Melissa and her family who own this place, and just iteration after iteration. And now we get to be the hosts of the McCormick Writing Center's residency reading. So this is taking a long time to get to really. And so here we are, and we have 2 residents here. We're so excited to have you. It's always so sweet and like perfect to have a local reader, and then to bring in new folks. We hope that Portland is a fun place to be, and that this residency is really productive and sweet and just feels so good and inspires your soul, that you get a lot of shit done. So thank you for being here. Okay, that was longer than I wanted to. I'm always like, I hate talking in front of a group. Okay, so let me introduce our first McCormick Writing Center resident, Afabwaje Kurian. She, her is the author of the novel Before the Mango Ripens, which is over on that table and looks so beautiful. Was a finalist for the 2025 Aspen Words Literary Prize and the 2025 Hurston Wright Legacy Award for Debut Fiction, and was also longlisted for the 2025 ECU Cabell First Novelist Award. Afabwaje received her MFA from the Iowa Writers Workshop. Her short fiction has appeared in Guernica, McSweeney's, Calley, the Bear Life Review, Joyland Magazine, and other publications. She has served as visiting faculty at the Iowa Writers Workshop and taught fiction at the University of Iowa for the International Writing Program. She currently teaches with the Writers Center in the greater DC area. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah. If I need to assist, let me assist. That's important. Sorry. Apparently it doesn't go up easily, but it does go down.
Testing.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I will try to project my voice.
I'm going to switch a little closer.
So, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to see us. I don't take it for granted. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you to McCormick and Bishop and Wild, and also the Constellation Reading Series, just for hosting us and for having us. And I am having a really beautiful time in Portland. So tonight, I am choosing to read from my debut novel, which is Before the Mango Ripens. The novel takes place in 1970s Nigeria, and it's about a town in central Nigeria that's wrestling with the presence of white American missionaries. So I like to think of it as a cross between the Poisonwood Bible and Things Fall Apart. And I like to think of it that way because I feel like it's a novel that privileges both voices, the voices of the white American missionaries and the voices of the Nigerian citizens and locals. So a few things to know before I start. Before I start the section that I'm going to be reading, so Zanya is the hero of this novel. So he is a young laborer and also a translator. And he works under Reverend Jim, who is the white missionary reverend. So he's very hungry for progress, and he's really just hungry to make something of himself in life. So Zanya ends up telling a story to an entire church in town that says that his family tried to burn him alive when he went home to his village. And so he was miraculously rescued or escaped. So this is a story that Reverend Jim does not believe at all. So Reverend Jim takes it upon himself to go to Yawari, which is Zanya's village, in order to see if the story about the fire is true. So that's where we're starting. I almost said, any questions? Okay. So, a man Jim presumed was Zanya's father, Baba Pima, appeared under the lintel as if he had been disturbed while sleeping and had come out to discover the reason. Baba Pima gestured Jim to 2 chairs on the side of the house close to a forested area. The chairs faced the house and were so close to the shrubs and plants that branches dug into Jim's neck when he sat. Jim thought he saw Baba Pima exchange secretive glances with the man who had shown them the house before the man walked off. There was no offer of food or drink, so Jim started. Baba Pima, I know your son, Zanya. Baba Pima did not respond, and at first Jim thought he might not understand English. Your child, Manasseh translated. I have ears to hear, Baba Pima said in English. I've heard him. Zanya works with me for the Christian. Jim caught himself. Surely Christian had been the wrong word to mention in a place like this. Zanya's father showed no change in countenance. The mission, in Marotta, Jim finished. You are the one who turned Zanya from us, Baba Pima said, away from his people, away from his gods. Jim laughed. Depends on how you look at it, I suppose. Jim wanted to add that people in Marotta knew his and Manasseh's whereabouts, except nobody in Marotta knew. Gary thought he had gone on visitation nearby, a 10-minute drive and not an hour. Jim had sworn Manasseh to secrecy about their trip. Zanya has built many places in Marotta for the mission, Jim said. He told me he learned these skills from you. Yes, Baba Pima said. I'd love to hear a little bit about this if you wouldn't mind. Jim thought admiration might draw Baba Pima out of his laconic responses. It seemed the right currency regardless of culture. You see this house? Baba Pima said. It is the one that me and Zanya built. You see how strong it is? It's a wonderful home you have, Jim said. This was the case with all the houses he and Zanya had built, Baba Pima said. There were houses in the village where the construction was an inferior quality than the buildings he and Zanya had worked on. He had taught Zanya to build before Zanya had even entered primary school. He had taught Zanya how to put the clay mixture into the wooden molds. He had let him stomp in small pits with the rest of the grown men. Baba Pima pressed his nostrils together with his fingers and looked out at the house again. But Zanya had gone off to his studies at Kunama Secondary School and returned, turning his nose at the labor that had fed him. Baba Pima seemed to speak about Zanya with a flush of contradictory emotions, pride and what seemed to Jim like bitterness. And were you not pleased with Zanya after his studies? Jim said. Baba Pima looked at Jim. Well, it seems your relationship with him is not as strong. The boy left our village, his family. What else is there? Well, I'm sure his new religious beliefs have also caused some tensions. Is that why the people of Yawari attempted to burn him? What burning? It's the news that's been circulating in Marotta, Jim said. Twigs snapped and branches and leaves rustled. Jim looked out into the thicket and turned his head to look down the path they had walked to Baba Pima's. Manasseh had heard the sound too, and he looked from side to side, a frown developing on his face. Yes, Baba Pima said, I've heard these stories. So did it or didn't it happen? Did you light the guinea corn chaff around your son's feet? Your family tried to burn your son. Baba Pima chuckled to himself and he looked at Jim. Why did you come to our village? You don't trust Zanya? This time, Jim heard footsteps loud and clear. and he turned his head in the direction of the noise. He thought he saw a group of men in the dwindling sunlight walking through the forest behind the house, heading in their direction. They could be farmers, taking a shortcut back to their homes, or they could be women. It was hard to see with his eyesight from this distance. Women returning from the riverbank, buckets of water on their shoulders, given the illusion of tall, strapping men. But there was something savage in how the figures approached. I'd hesitate to say that I don't trust Zanya. He's done a lot for the mission, Jim said. Okay, so why did you come to Yawari? Frankly, we're here to verify the testimony that Zanya gave about the fire, that your family attacked him. You want to know what we did to him? Baba Pema said. Jim's heart raced, but he pressed on. Well, Zanya said his uncles came together, and I thought it sounded quite terrible. Your brothers or your wife's brothers, I presume, would have been the ones who did this, tried to burn your son. Baba Pema's leer was ugly and twisted. You want to know what we did to that boy? Branches cracked and tree limbs fell as men emerged from the forest behind the house. One by one, they greeted Baba Pema and formed a crude semicircle in front of Jim and Manasseh. Reverend, this is not good, Manasseh said. What's happening? Jim said, rising slowly. Zanya's father rose, and with a quick, authoritative flick of his head like a military general, he directed one of the men to stand behind Jim. Reverend, Manasseh shouted. One man grabbed Manasseh's shoulders in a crushing hold, pulled him back. You want to know what we did to Zanya? Baba Pema repeated. No, Jim said. Please, we don't want to know, Manasseh cried. The man closest to Jim twisted a piece of cloth in his hand. Was that a blindfold? A gag? Jim's breathing had become asthmatic. He stepped back and collided into a large, brawny frame. Baba Pema smiled and said, we will do to you what we did to Zanya. No, Jim cried as he was pushed off his feet and lifted overhead. He was rigid and cold as a corpse as two men carried him down the village path. Dampness soaked his armpits and spread through the shirt and suit he had worn. The blindfold smelled of kerosene. It burned his eyes, and his nose was inflamed, and he could not release a finger to scratch to pull the blindfold away. Red spots flowered and drifted to the center of his shut eyelids as he squirmed to escape the hold under his arms and the pair of hands grasping his ankles. This is how it was going to end for him. They were not going to make it out alive. Jim had known death was a possibility as a missionary. He had read about the Boxer Rebellion in China, hundreds of missionaries slaughtered. He had flirted with death when he first came to Nigeria, and he had walked away unharmed. The robbery had been an inauspicious turn of events, but this he had walked himself into. Jim felt the man's calluses cutting against his ankles, and his thoughts turned to how his sons would react to the news of his death. Walter, stoic and proud, taking the news as if he'd expected it to happen. Pete, would it lead Pete to repentance? Please, Jim heard Manasseh shout. We're begging you, leave us. Jim ought to speak too and plead for his life, but the fear of what was ahead had tied his tongue. It was all he could do to keep breathing. The men must have been carrying them into the center of the village. They were not talking amongst themselves. It was as if they had done this before, and they were coordinated in walking on which route to take and how to do so with stealth. They must have done this to other foreigners, to their own people, like Zanya, who rejected their village gods. Sheaves would be tossed to the ground, the villagers would gather, a match would be struck, and the flames would ride around Jim and Manasseh, for there had been a crowd too when Zanya was almost burned. Jim heard the ferocious rush of water, smelled the change in the air, the mustiness, algae and roots and soil. The men must have carried them to the riverbank, and it was the same river that he and Manasseh had passed, driving into the village. They would be thrown into the torrent. He had never been much of a swimmer. He'd be caught into the current and would not survive. Throw them, Baba Pema cried. No, Jim shouted. The words shot out, and the men tightened their grip on him. Please, please. You wanted to know, Baba Pema said. No, we made mistakes. We should never have come. Yes, Baba Pema said. You should never have come. Jim felt the swing of his body, the heave-ho. He was like nothing in their arms. He was a sack of leaves as they swung him back and forth. He waited for the feeling of flying into the air, for the sharp descent, for the explosion of water in his nostrils and mouth. Thank you.
Yeah.
Riveted.
Yeah. It's a baller ending.
Okay.
Oh, more. Cannot wait to read the rest. Oh my God. That was so fun. And very satisfying. It's like nosy ass missionary. Thank you for that. You guys picked the best people. That's so awesome. Okay. I need my glasses. I was too excited. Our next reader is Calley Marotta, she, her. Calley is a writer, teacher, and researcher living in Denver. Her ethnographic research and creative writing focus on the relationship between writing, justice, and essential labor, including care work. She also writes about clothes. You can find her creative nonfiction in Atticus Review, the Los Angeles Review, the Maine Review, and Mother Magazine. She is currently working on a speculative memoir titled Blame the Mother. Such a good title. When she is not writing, she is dancing, treasure hunting, and dressing up with her daughter. I want to say one more thing. This is Calley's first literary reading.
What?
But Calley's done lots of academic stuff, but this is her first literary experience of reading in front of an audience. So we're so honored, and let's give Calley
Oh, thank you. I am very short.
Okay, you may not need it. I'm gonna move it up. It's tiny. Okay. It goes up and then it
Wow.
goes down. I don't know. We're testing everything.
All right.
Go ahead.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Hey. Hi, everyone. It is such an honor to get to read beside John and Afa. Your work is just hauntingly beautiful, and I'm so honored. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for being online. Thank you to the McCormick Writing Center, including Lance and Yume, and everyone I haven't met yet, especially the person who put granola bars and blueberries in my apartment. Thank you to the Reading Fellows for seeing something in my work, and to Constellation, because readings are my favorite thing. And it's really fun to be on this side of it. And thank you to my husband and my daughter for making it possible for me to be here. I'm reading from the introduction of my book, which is called Blame the Mother. Still hearing me okay?
Yeah.
People often ask me when it happened. By it, they mean, when did your daughter stop loving you? The truth is, I don't remember if she ever did. I have no answers to their questions. I know a mother would have answers. I know a mother would not need to ask. A mother would not sit on the floor, scooting away from her daughter. But here I am, crammed by the door, trying not to scare her, a wild animal whose language I do not speak. I feel like a stranger, hesitant, nervous. When I reach out with a finger or a toe, she tears her limbs away and screams. I know I was the first voice she heard, the first skin she smelled, but that doesn't seem to matter. How can that not matter? I fear she sniffs inadequacy beneath my nails and at the nape of my neck. I fear she loathes something innate to my being, something that I cannot change. I crawl along the floor, inch my way to her, but she screams and pushes me back with her tiny fists. I feel pressure on my torso. She is trying to escape from me, but I cannot feel my limbs, the body that birthed her. I do not feel my knees digging into the floor. I crave contact to bring my body into being. I crave a finger against my skin. She slams her fists against the door. My breath stiffens and strains. It retreats from my lungs in shame. I say words, but they are packaged unconvincingly. He'll be back soon. Let's get a cookie. Cuddle with a stuffy. Pour water into dirt. Cora cannot turn the knob. If she could, she would run from the house into the streets to search for her father. She would run away like a lost dog. I would stay, stuck in place, too sad and shocked to catch her. Even though I should expect it, even though I know no different, it still feels painful watching the scenes unfold before my eyes. I imagine her dress flapping in the wind with bare arms. I imagine myself memorizing the back of her head and the slope of her neck. She does not turn around. She does not look back to see if I am following. She is not a lost dog, and I am not her home. I watch Cora hang on the metal doorknob. She pulls, she jumps, and uses her feet to scale the door. I speak words that fail to comfort her. They land on her skin with a bang. My voice hurts her ears. Even now, I still have the impulse to reach for her. But that only makes things worse. She continues to scream, and finally, I stop trying to make her stop. I allow the screams to rise up out of her. I feel the door absorb her father's name, the one she is longing for. I want sensory deprivation. I want dark rooms where I cannot see her or hear her screams, where they do not assault my bones. But I cannot leave, shut my eyes, block my ears. If I am not here, who would take care of her? I have to stay, but the pain, the rattling, the ache in my abdomen becomes too much. So I leave my fingers gripping the floor, my heart racing, my chest heaving. I float above us until I become a distant observer. But this is also cruel. I see myself as I am, small, powerless, pathetic. I see the scene others see on the playground or the grocery store, how ridiculous we are. I look at this woman on the floor, too scared to touch her child. I want to scream and shake her. Do something, I say. But I cannot move, I do not know what to do, and I know her father would. I grasp at compassion. I remember my daughter is hurting. She believes her father is gone forever, that when she cannot see him, he has ceased to exist. Our therapist says this has something to do with object permanence. I feel weak with grief, but I cannot let her see I am mourning. As she mourns him, I mourn her, a classic love triangle. I cannot let her think this is her fault. So I try to hide my feelings, to study my expression, my hands, my nerves. But I have never been good at hiding how I feel. I have never been good at lying. My eyes bulge and give me away. When she is older, my daughter will imitate me, stretching her eyeballs wide until her lids hit her forehead. This is how she looks. You look, she will say. She doesn't like it, the way I look when I try to eat my feelings with my eyes. I hide nothing. My mind remains blank. I do not know how to help her, to shift course, to break her free of her obsession. The minutes pass slowly. She does not come, leave the door, raise her head. This nightmare will not end. I pull my legs close to my chest and think about leaving the house. I grieve the ease with which I open and shut the door. Sometimes I catch myself lingering in the doorway, looking out at her longingly. I am waiting for her to notice. I am fishing for an exchange. I loudly, obviously, announce my departure. I want her to run to me, to pull the bottom of my coat and tell me to stay, because that's how children act around their mothers. This much I know. I long for her to long for me, but she never does. I can hardly look at the doorway without crumbling. It is a constant reminder that she would prefer my absence. Knowing this makes me want to evaporate. But what good would that do to let her forget me completely? She is 2, but everything started long ago. So I scold myself for my fragility. Still you have not toughened up? Still you expected to be different? And yet each time feels like the first. A shock, a devastation. I fail to harden. I cannot get used to this. I fail to go numb, to feel nothing when the rejection becomes predictable. It functions at a constant cadence. Instead, I freeze. I fail to fight, to flee, to get angry. I don't have the right. Back on the floor, we count down the minutes and seconds with a mouse timer that scurries across my phone screen, eating cheese. It is time for Andrew to arrive home. I beckon us from the floor and turn the lock. I hold my breath as I lightly lift her out the door. I try to make my touch invisible. I pretend like I am not there at all. Cora's chest and legs are bare, so I try to cradle her in my coat, but I notice her skin shows between the swaths of fabric. I cannot even keep her warm. We set out to search for him. We circle the block, and Cora screams for her father into the dry autumn air. When she stops, I realize she is waiting for his voice to come back to her, an echo. Each time in the pauses between her screams, her quiet breath makes me ache. She cries when his voice does not meet hers. She wails. To drown out the noise, I make up a song, but I struggle to carry a tune to sing that Daddy will soon be home, because the only songs I know are about mothers. I remember when my sister was a child and we sang, "Mommy comes back, she'll always come back." But my daughter is not worried about Mommy. I am mortified. We just moved to Salt Lake City. I have yet to meet our neighbors. What will I say if someone stops us? Don't worry, I promise she is mine. Her father is just running an errand. No, I can't put her down because she will run from me. I hate that a stranger might soothe her and that I would feel relieved. I hate that I would want to pass her over and flee. White cars like ours pass and make my heart leap. Cruelly, so many white cars. That's not him, I have to say aloud. Finally, I catch a glimpse of the right white car and I feel my muscles release my bones. She leaps to the ground. She runs and screams. I am left with my arms still open, holding the air where she sat in my chest, my coat still open around my waist. As she runs, I yell for fear he does not see her, for fear that she will be crushed by heavy tires. But she is also yelling, "Dad!" Andrew pulls slowly into the driveway. He is ready and rolls down the window to say hi. When he opens the door, she is already gripping his legs, pulling her head into his body, as if he grew her in her womb. He raises her easily and she grips his shoulders. She nuzzles her nose into the nape of his neck. She quietly melts into silence, still and content. She looks like she saw her mother. But she has never been that way with me. I hear her peacefulness carried on the wind. Daddy's home.
Whoa! Thank you. I thank everyone who writes about motherhood. And also, thank you for trusting us, also with your first read.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you, for being here. We have books for sale and some cool bookmarks. If you'd like to donate to the Warm Springs Fund, there's one at the checkout counter.
And I think there's one by the mask and name tag table there. You can wear a name tag if you'd like people to know your name when you're making friends. You also don't have to. We have kind of a extravagant spread of snacks upstairs, and you can check out the fridge too for sparkling water and beer. And feel free to mingle down here, buy some books, get to know each other, say hi to tonight's readers. If you if this is your first Constellation, you are absolutely welcome back, even if you don't know anybody who's reading. We hope that this is just a place you think about coming on the second Thursday of every month, except July and December. It's hard for us to remember it too. Yeah, thank you, and take care.